Greetings and salutations, my lovely little Bytelings. My name is Wiggy, and today I have some positive news for all of you. Kingdom Under Fire 2 has an official release date slated for the West and will be playable on both your PC and PlayStation 4. Sorry, Xbox fans. So, you may have already heard about Kingdom Under Fire 2, as it's been floating around the MMORPG market for a while now, having a C, Chinese, and Russian server. Some of those servers being successful, some not so much. However, I'll go over what Kingdom Under Fire is for those of you unaware, as it'll no doubt save you time and effort googling around for accurate information regarding it. So, you're welcome and all that. Kingdom Under Fire 2 is a fantasy action strategy MMORPG, which is a strange combination in my opinion, as most strategy games in general don't really use action combat, as strategy combat and action combat are on completely different sides of the combat spectrum. That aside, before I get into all the details of combat and how it utilizes its strategic element, I'll go over how the MMORPG actually plays, aka is it open world, or is it another instanced action MMORPG like Vindictus and like... As you're no doubt dying with curiosity, Kingdom Under Fire 2's world is instanced, similar to that of Final Fantasy XIV or Guild Wars 2, whilst at the same time being completely different. Allow me to explain. So you can party up, run around huge open areas, take quests, fight monsters, just like you would in Guild Wars 2 or Final Fantasy XIV. However, to travel from place to place, you'll be teleported to an overworld, where you have a 3D world map in which you can freely fly across, just like you would in an older RPG game. So whilst it is open, as you can freely run around areas, and by the way, there is a shit ton of areas, it is also instanced, as there are loading screens between areas. It seems pretty awesome, as flying around an airship traveling across the world map as you visit area to area, whilst still being able to slay monsters, take quests, and explore large open areas like normals sounds awesome to me. But I understand some of you guys prefer proper, fully open worlds and can't enjoy more enclosed MMORPGs, which is why I mentioned it first. So now we can move on to the combat that's found within Kingdom Under Fire 2. First of all, it has full action combat, not a hybrid type action combat like the one found in Revelation Online. But your skills do not require combos like they do in Black Desert, for instance. You set your skills to 1, 2, 3 like any other MMORPG, however you can freely swap back and forth between your character and the RTS camera mode by clicking F1, F2, F3, and so on. Unless you end up changing the key bindings, of course. And if you don't know what RTS stands for, it means real-time strategy. So, while you're in RTS mode, you can control your hired units. Yes, you can hire actual armies that you can control, move around, and assist you in battles, all while being able to unleash mass havoc on your actual character. Pretty awesome so far, right? So Kingdom Under Fire 2's strategic element plays similarly to that found in the Total War series, if you've played that game before. However, if controlling an army tactically with the RTS mode doesn't appeal to you, there are short keys that allow you to give your army simple commands, aka follow, attack my target, and the like, so you can continue beating your enemies up on your hero character. While we're on the subject of the army, in Kingdom Under Fire 2, the army is a large part of the game. However, don't expect to have a huge one at the beginning of the MMORPG, as some of the early content has you running around solo, and the battles that do require your army will be in a much smaller scale, as you don't have access to more units. I do believe you start off with a basic infantry unit and archer unit. These units don't just stand ready to move and fight at your beck and call. They themselves have skills that they can freely use in battle, if you allow them to. Or if you want more of the tactical control over your units, then you can use your army like a puppet and use skills manually. If this sounds awesome to you, then be warned, the awesomeness doesn't end here, as you have hundreds of different units ranging from infantry type units to archers, aerial units, and even dragons. Do note that, depending on the type of unit you have, it'll have specific units it's weak against. For instance, a sword infantry unit will be weak against a spear unit, due to them having longer weapons, so using tactics is necessary, which is pretty cool in my opinion. Although you can always assist your units if they can't beat a unit on their own. I did forget to mention what classes your character can be, so I'll be going over it quickly for you guys. There are 4 classes for you to choose between, so not the largest selection of classes in an MMORPG, but they did just add a new class, so they could add more in the future. So the classes are Gunslinger, which contrary to its name, it doesn't actually sling guns, as that would be counterproductive. Would be more accurate if it was Bullet Slinger. But I digress. It's actually a swordsman that can use mid-range skills in conjunction with slashing people in the face. Then we have the hulking Beserker, which is your atypical greatsword using badass that smashes through enemy lines with no pants on, as he no doubt forgot to equip them when he went out to fight that very morning, subsequently getting himself killed. No doubt due to the lack of pants. Next is the Spell Sword, which is a pretty accurate name actually, as it has the flashiest magic skills of all the classes, and she also uses a sword. The Spell Sword is a class that stays in the heart of battle, throwing lightning bolts in your face with her wand. And while you may laugh at the fact that she's using a wand close range, she proceeds to slash you and your fellow infantry units with a flashy sword skill. So don't underestimate this class. I will also point out she wears some pretty fabulous armor. Or lack of armor. Moving on, we have the newest added class, the Summoner. This class is Kingdom Under Fire 2's equivalent to a lolly character, but not overly sexualized like the Ellen in Terror. So the Summoner is, as you've no doubt guessed, a class that summons creatures. But she's also the only pure mage, as all of her attacks are magical, which looks really awesome. She can summon anything from an armored bear to lions, and for a more fantasy companion, a rock golem. No doubt each type of summon will have differing skills. The creators behind Kingdom Under Fire 2 did state that they have plans for at least 10 more classes. Whether or not that's still the case remains to be seen. But like I said earlier, they did just add a new class, so it is possible. Also, if you haven't noticed yet, the classes are locked to the gender that's shown, aka Gunslinger and Berserker being male, with the Spell Sword and Summoner being the female characters. While this is limiting, you were probably expecting it, as most MMORPGs released, at least made by Korea, have gender-locked classes. Now that we've talked about the world and the classes, let's go over PvP. So there will be PvP in Kingdom Under Fire 2, some of them being small scale like 2v2, some being large scale with huge groups of troops fighting each other in an invasion mode. Another thing to point out is that while Kingdom Under Fire 2 will have a massive amount of characters on the screen at once, they've optimized the game very well, as it doesn't seem to have any FPS issues, even with mass units attacking each other. Siege weapons, monsters, and archers unleashing a slew of arrows. I believe there can be 8,000 total units in any given battle, though the number may be slightly higher, as I personally haven't had a chance to play it. So I cannot 100% guarantee this fact, but I do believe it's pretty close. So you may have noticed by watching the video footage, Kingdom Under Fire 2 is a gorgeous MMORPG, and it doesn't require an expensive, high-powered PC to play, which is great, as there's nothing worse than seeing an MMORPG you want to play, but being unable to play it due to a potato PC. Another thing you may or may not have noticed is that it isn't the most colorful MMORPG, so if you're expecting a vibrant, colorful, full-of-life world, Kingdom Under Fire 2 isn't like that, as its color scheme fits the theme of the game. As Kingdom Under Fire 2 is set in a dark fantasy world, it wouldn't make sense if it's all rainbows and sunshine. So, to move on to what you guys are waiting for, when is this MMORPG coming out to the West? Blueside has confirmed the PC version of Kingdom Under Fire 2's closed beta will begin around the end of 2017 in Korea, Japan, North America, and Europe, with the PlayStation 4 version coming out slightly later. So you can go ahead and mark the date on your calendar, as we'll finally get the chance to check out Kingdom Under Fire 2 in English. So exciting! So yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about today, as I wanted to share the good news with my fellow Bytelings, as I had some negative news regarding Bless Online a few days ago. Before I end this video, I would like to ask you guys, does Kingdom Under Fire 2 look like an MMORPG you'd be willing to try out, as it is kinda different to other MMORPGs, in a good way, for me at least. Anyway, good day, night, or afternoon, wherever it is where you are, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
We fell out of love like shooting stars, came crashing down, and we're building back up again now. I see your heart, see your